Hello everyone, I am Vaishali Kikan. Today in this video we are going to talk about some concepts and some questions from the unit atomic structure. So without wasting any time, let's begin with the first question, which states the frequency of a line in the visible emission spectrum of hydrogen is 4.57 into 10 raised to power 14 Hertz. Calculate the energy of photon emitted. We have to find out the energy and the frequency is given. So we all know the formula of energy, which is E is equal to h nu, where h is a constant which is having the value 6.63 into 10 raised to power minus 34. So now frequency it is given, which is 4.57 into 10 raised to power 14 Hertz. So when I multiply both of them, we will be getting 3.03 into 10 raised to power minus 19 joule. So this is the energy which is required for the one electron, right, or for the emission of one photon. Coming to the next question, which states if the frequency of convergence limit in the Lyman series of hydrogen is 3.28 into 10 raised to power 15 Hertz, calculate the ionization energy of hydrogen in kilojoule per mole. So now again the frequency is given, we have to find out the ionization energy, but for 1 mole of hydrogen atoms we need to find out the energy, right? So if I apply the formula E is equal to h nu, again h is the constant which is having the value 6.63 into 10 raised to power minus 34, and frequency is given 3.28 into 10 raised to power 15. So we will be getting 2.17 to 10 raised to power minus 18 joule, but this energy is required to ionize only one electron of one atom. So this is the maximum energy required to remove electron from one hydrogen atom. And if I need to find out the energy in kilojoule per mole, I need to find out how much ionization energy is required for 1 mole of hydrogen atom. So for 1 mole, I will be multiplying this energy with the Avogadro's constant. So when energy is 2.17 to 10 raised to power minus 18, it is multiplied with the Avogadro's constant, that is 6.02 into 10 raised to power 23. I will be getting 1.31 into 10 raised to power 6 joule per mole. So this energy I am getting for 1 mole of hydrogen atoms, to ionize 1 mole of hydrogen atom. So now this is in joule per mole. So what I need to find out the energy in kilojoule per mole, so I will be dividing it by 1000. So the energy in the kilojoule per mole would be 1.31 into 10 raised to power 3 kilojoule per mole. So now coming to the next concept, where we are going to discuss the ionization energies. So we are going to find out what is the first ionization energy, second ionization energy, and all of the subsequent ionization energy, right? So what is the first ionization energy? The first ionization energy is find out for the process where we have M in G, which is giving me M plus in G gaseous form plus an electron. So electron is removed. So this is the energy required to remove one electron from each atom in 1 mole of gaseous atom under standard condition. So if I have any atom M, I require to remove an electron. So what energy I require to remove? Only 1 electron from each atom of M in the gaseous state under all of the standard condition. Now coming to the second ionization. So now I will be taking the first ionized metal or first ionized atom, so M plus I will be taking, and now I will be removing the electron from it. So when I remove electron from it, I will be getting the second ionization. So now coming to the nth order ionization. So for the nth order ionization, I will be taking Mn positive and I will be removing the electron from it, right? So in this manner, I will be having various levels of ionizations. Now, if I have the highest energy, so whatever electrons that are present in the highest energy level, those are removed first. So here we have taken the example of potassium. So this is the potassium. In the potassium, we have the various sub-energy levels which are filled like this. So we have 1s. In 1s, I have 2 electrons in the different orientation, right? So 2 electrons are there in 1s. In 2s, 2 electrons. In 2p, we have 6 electrons. In 3s, we have 2 electrons. In 3p again we have 6 electrons, and in 4s I have only 1 electron. Now if I want to remove 1 electron, so this is the first ionization of potassium. So when I remove only 1 electron, it will be removed from the highest energy level. Which is the highest energy level? It is 4s. So the electron in the 4s is removed, and here I will be having 2 electrons in 1s, 2 electrons in 2s, 6 electrons in 2p, 2 electrons in 3s, 6 electrons in 3p, whereas 0 electrons would be there in 4s. So in this manner we will be having the ionization of the potassium where highest energy electrons are removed first. Now when the highest energy electrons are removed, the second ionization is possible now. I have to now remove the second electrons from these electrons, right? So which is the electron that I will be removing? I will be removing from 3p. Right, and 3p is closer to the nucleus, and second ionization energy would be higher than the first ionization energy. First reason would be 3p is already closer to the nucleus. Second reason we are understanding from this diagram. So now this is any atom before any ionization. So here we have 2 electrons in this shell and 8 electrons in this shell, right? So we have made any arbitrary atom, right? So now when I remove any electron, so what will be happening? The electrons which is highest in energy is removed. So electron in this shell, outer shell is removed. So when this is removed, I will be having 7 electrons here and 2 electrons here, right? So these 7 electrons will be now having less repulsion forces. All of the electrons are repelling each other, right? And the protons are attracting the electrons. Now here I have 7 electrons, here I have 8 electrons. When I have 7 electrons, I will be having less repulsion. So the repulsion force experienced by the electrons would be less, which means they are going to more attract to the nucleus. So if I have the positive ions, that is the nucleus, in the nucleus we have the protons, they are going to attract the negatively charged electrons more strongly, and this is the reason that we have the higher energy for the second ionization than the first ionization, right? So I hope you understood why we have the higher energy for the second ionization. Plus we have one more concept, that these inside electrons, so if I make the potassium, for the potassium we have 2s, right? In the 2s we have 2 electrons, then we have 2p, in the 2p we have 8 electrons, right? Then we have 3s, in the 3s again we have 2 electrons, in the 3p we have again the 8 electrons, right? So I am making again 8 electrons over here, right? And then we have 4s, right? So in the 4s I have only 1 electron. Now when I remove this 1 electron, so these all electrons were shielding it, so we were getting less positive attraction on this outer electron because these all were shielding it, right? From the positive attractive from this nucleus, right? But whereas if I want to remove this electron, the shielding effect is gone. Again, we can understand why we have the higher second ionization energy. Coming to the variation in the ionization energy across a period. So in a period we have the different atoms and how the energy is going to vary. Ionization energy increase from left to right. So you can see the diagram. This is a graph where we have lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, fluorine, oxygen, fluorine and neon. So you can see the ionization energy is increasing. We have 2 exceptions. We are going to understand these 2 exceptions as well. So you can see we have the lithium, we have the neon. Because the lithium we have the less number of protons, in the neon we have more number of protons. It is compact, its size is small, and the positive attraction effect on these outer electrons would be more because of the less size. Now nuclear charge is also increasing from lithium to neon, which means the number of protons are increasing from lithium to neon. So now if I remove electron from the same main energy level, so main energy level, let's suppose it's the 2p, here also it is 2p, so it is not shielded. So 2p is not shielded by the inner level. So this is the inner level, and again here also the inner level. Inner level is same, no extra shielding would be there. Attractive force on outer electron is going to increase because of more number of protons if I move from left to right, and neon is smaller than lithium, so electron is closer to the nucleus and it is more strongly held. We require more energy to push it out. effective nuclear charge on the outer electron in neon is higher, right? And in this manner I can understand that how we have the higher energy for ionization of neon than the lithium. These are two exceptions, beryllium and boron, and nitrogen and oxygen. So you can see boron is having lesser ionization energy than beryllium. So you can see in the beryllium, the electron, outermost electron is present in 2s, and we require more energy to move this 2s electron to the outer free energy level, whereas the 2p energy level is somewhat upper, and the outermost electron in the boron is in 2p. So we require less energy to move it to the outer energy state. So here we require less energy. In this manner, 2p in boron is higher energy level than 2s in beryllium, and this is the first exception. In nitrogen and oxygen, you can see the 2p energy level is filled like this. All of the electrons in the same spin are there in different orbitals, right? Here you can see we have the two electrons which are closer, which are going to repel each other. So right, electrons in the same p orbital is easier to remove, right? So these two electrons will repel each other. We can remove this electron very easily. So in this manner, the oxygen is having lesser ionization energy than the nitrogen. I hope you understood all of the things. Thank you so much.